What is up, guys? My name is Chris, and recently we've been talking a lot about Overwatch, and a lot of people in our community have decided to finally jump in. Currently going on right now at the time of this recording, there is a free weekend where you can try out Overwatch for free and kind of get your feet wet and see if it's a game you want to purchase. But a lot of people in our community have actually gone ahead and purchased the game, and they're finally jumping in after the first year of Overwatch and saying, all right, I've been on the sidelines long enough. I've heard the guys talking about this. I want to give this a go. And in particular, we had one person, Carl, on the internet say, hey, I jumped in, I went ahead and bought Overwatch, and I do like it, but man, it's a little bit overwhelming. Could you maybe break it down just a little bit more for me? So I'm going to go ahead and try my best to do that. The first thing that I want to say right now to everybody that is brand new to Overwatch, whether you're just trying it or you actually went ahead and purchased it and you're just getting your feet wet with it, where Overwatch is different than other first-person shooters, in my opinion, is that it's really not about the individual. Most other first-person shooters, Call of Duty, Battlefield, unless you're playing with a huge group of friends, like most people go in there just to kind of, I want to be a super soldier and I want to do the best and be tops of the team. They really don't care about winning that much. It's more about just their individual performance. But Overwatch is very much about the team. It's not really about any individual person so much. They do like to highlight a little bit on the individual side, but one way that you'll be able to tell that that's the case is at the very end of the game, they will put these cards up that show the top 4 players on either team. It could be all one team, it could be a mix and match of both teams, just the top performers on those teams. And they let you give those people kind of like a virtual thumbs up. But nowhere at all does it ever say, like, here's the scores of all the individual people. Here's who was on the point the most times. Here's who had the most captures. Here's who had the most kills. Here's who had the most deaths. None of that stuff is divulged. You can look at your own stats, but nobody else knows what your stats are unless you tell them. They're never displayed on the screen. That's because in Overwatch, they just want you and your team to work together to reach the goal at hand. It's not really about the individual, it's about the team. That is what I like. So what that means is, regardless of the character that you play, you're probably going to die a lot. So don't let yourself get frustrated or irritated or upset if you die a bunch of the game, because it's not the point of the game. And I know that can be a little bit different for some people, because most people, like I said before, get into shooters and they just want to be on the tops of the scoreboard, where there's really not a scoreboard here, because it's just about who wins and who loses. So let's go ahead and jump right into, we're going to go to the practice range, and I'm going to kind of break down some of the characters. All right, so right down here, these characters over here are considered our offensive characters. These right here are our defensive characters. These are our tanks, and these are our support characters. So, I'm going to go ahead and pick McCree right here, because if I don't pick one, it kicks me back out to the main stage. But the offensive characters are exactly that. They are to play offense. And what that means is that they're the people that are going to provide the DPS, which is damage per second. They're the people that are going to kind of be on the front lines, pushing in, doing as much damage as they can, because the majority of the offensive characters have some of the highest damage in the game. So if you're going to play an offensive character, what you need to do is be on the front lines and pushing with your other offensive players on your team, because you are the guys who are going to be like pushing the objective, pushing. The characters over here, the defensive characters, they are going to be more of your mid-range to long-range characters that are doing the damage from a little bit of a distance. They're not going to be so much the front lines. In particular, you have 2 that are snipers, Widowmaker and Hanzo. And then you have kind of the more middle-of-the-ground people similar to Bastion here, who can turn into a turret. And he can deal a lot of damage, but he's very weak. And on top of that, when he's in turret mode, like, he can't move. Like, I can turn all the way around, but I can't pick up and move my spot. The only way to do that is to actually get out of turret mode. So your support, or excuse me, your defensive character is really more about focusing in on maintaining the enemy where they are, or pushing them back, or kind of keeping them at bay, not letting them do the advance for you. Whereas your offensive characters are the ones out there doing the push to help move the point forward, or the payload, or whatever your objective is at the moment. And then you come over here and you've got your tank characters. Your tank characters, out of all the characters in the game, are the ones that are going to have the most health and or armor. Kind of depends on which character you choose, whether they have health or armor. For instance, if you look down on Diva right here, all that white, she has 600. All of the white is health. The gold is her actual armor. So different tanks have different amounts of health versus armor, but they all have the highest amount. The point of the tank is to soak up damage that the enemy is taking out. So a lot of times, your tank will also be part of the front lines, either because they're shielding your offensive characters or anybody else as you make the push, or they're kind of getting in there, disrupting and taking their attention and sucking up all of that damage so that your offensive characters and your defensive characters can get in position and get where they need to be and do the damage when the enemy's not paying much attention to them. So these are the characters that have the most health, so you really need to not be playing like shy or coy with a defensive character. You need to be getting in there, keeping people off of your healers. You're kind of defending all of your team because you're the big brute that's going to help push the whole ball forward, if you will. And then over here we have our support class. And every single one of our characters are all of our support characters are healers except for Symmetra. So each and every one of the healers can do each and every one of the support characters can do healing except Symmetra. What she does is she puts up these turrets that you can see right here that can help support your team because they can help guard a point or an outpost, if you will. And the only other thing that she can do is she does have the ability on her ultimate. She has 2 different ultimates. She's the only one in the game that currently that has 2 ultimates. She can put a teleporter, which can go at the spawn point all the way to wherever the point you go in the beginning so that you can get your teammates there faster, thus supporting your team. Or she can put down an orb that gives your team shields. If you look down there on her health at the bottom left, you can see the white is her health and the blue is the shield that she provides. And whenever she puts down that little orb, you see right now I have the turret selected. That's my ultimate in the bottom, very middle of the screen. The one on the left side, that is the shield protector, and that will put shields around your enemies. But she doesn't do any healing to your team. If you're going to do healing to your team, you have to pick one of these other characters between Ana, Lucio, Mercy, and Zenyatta, and they all have some way to provide health to your team. Just real quick, I'll show you with Lucio here so you can see both of our characters, because they're in this radius that I have, this golden radius that I've put up there, they're both getting health. You can see that their health is being restored. And then if I kill these enemy bots over here that are shooting at them, you will see that their health comes back completely, and then I can boost it to where it's going even faster. So the healing characters are some of the weakest in the game. For the most part, they are not going to be in the thick of things. They're going to be kind of hanging back, or if they are in the thick of things, they're going to be moving around and bouncing around a lot because they really just are trying to provide health to their team. They can do damage, but it's not really their place. You really want to focus, the healers need to focus more on making sure that their team is healthy and able to continue to do the damage that they need to do. So that's kind of in a nutshell, very high level, I know, but that's kind of what the different characters and the different classes, if you will, inside of Overwatch are all about. I hope that helped out a little bit. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. The main thing to remember, and I can't stress this enough, is it's not about your kill-death ratio. It's not about you individually. It's really more about you helping the team. Now, they do have this thing at the end of every single game called the play of the game, and that's the one time when they kind of highlight the individual. They say, hey, out of everybody on both teams, at the end of the day, even whether it was the team won or lost, this person did this thing in the game, and that was what we're calling the play of the game, the most critical play of the entire match. Doesn't mean your team won if you get play of the game, but it's a way to highlight the individual. That's really the only time the individual is kind of given a spotlight. The rest of the time, it's all about the team. So, team up with some friends, go out there and just have a ball. And don't worry if you die a bunch, because, especially like healers die a lot because they don't really provide much damage. So, but they do a lot of help. In fact, healers lots of times will be getting play of the game, or they'll be on the cards at the very end of the game saying, hey, these people did really great things, because healers are very important to the game. You do the healing so that everybody else can do the damage and y'all can win the game. So go out there, have fun, and we will see you on the battlefield.